Today, we're getting rewarded to abuse animals. And no, we are not playing Pal World. All I gotta do is run the cursor through them, we do damage, they get hurt. We ended up with these adorable innocent little creatures and we get rewards so we can do it to bigger, better creatures. And you know what? I don't think we can use an auto clicker to fudge this one. This is gonna be good old fashioned willpower. And a healthy dose of carpal tunnel syndrome. We've already earned $1,000, we can upgrade our Berserker's Amulet for 140. Which gives us 3 damage, so now the little morons will die even quicker. Once we've defeated 25 of them, we move on to the next zone where they get slightly stronger and probably more rewarding. Although the real reward were the creatures we harmed along the way. We can also get the Anchor, deals 4 damage per second, that costs 1.1 thousand. And while we're at it, we're gonna upgrade this one a bunch of times because it's still pretty cheap, that's level 6. Now look at that damage. We're hitting for 18 and or 49, that might be a critical hit. And when I use my fisting ability, we do even more damage. So right now we are absolutely destroying these tiny little insects. And I may not be able to use an auto clicker, but if I leave the cursor right here, they will walk straight into the damage. Not that I would ever exploit any game. They have about 500 HP at this point, we're in tier level 5. Okay, so the amulet deals cursor damage, the anchor deals damage per second, the beanie does 9 damage per cursor touch. Yeah, whatever, talking is hard. So we're going to give that another upgrade, so now when we touch them, 63 damage, 75 on a crit. And we've got a boss and a treasure chest. We have 44 seconds to kill the boss. He's got 7,000 HP, we'll be fine. Especially because I'm going to buy more click damage per second, or per touch, and we're going to get a lot of it, 200 damage per touch.
And I don't even have to fist anyone to do it.
Cave level 7, the morons have thousands of HP, and these are just basic ones. They are giving us thousands of dollars per kill, so that's gonna add up really quick. We've already made another 60 grand back. $130,000 means $130,000 worth of upgrades. That one alone cost 76, but it is causing damage per second. It's only 38, so I really feel like we're better off doing our touching damage. We're touchers by nature. I'm gonna go ahead and take the beanie and upgrade it a whole bunch of times because these are still really cheap in comparison. Now we're doing almost 1,000 per touch, 1,000 touch damage. Then we can save up the $750,000 we need for a golden book upgrade. That's going to give us even more touchy damage. We're up to 800, so that wasn't as drastic of an upgrade as I would have liked. But this seems like the type of game where you're better off to go back and take some of these really cheap upgrades considering how cheap they are. Like even as anchors, these upgrades are only a few $1,000s each, and we're now doing 250 damage per second in the background. That's actually substantial. And we get so much money for killing each one of these that the investment is really going to pay for itself in a hurry. These upgrades, $33,000 each, but it's actually adding quite a bit of damage, almost like 50, 100 per click. So now we're touching them for 1.5 thousand. That is much better. Do we have to be in a cave the entire time? I would like to be somewhere where it's sunny and grassy and there's more cute creatures to be murdering. These ones feel like they're supposed to be murdered. Bones does 38 damage per second in the background. Let's go ahead and upgrade it as many times as we can to get that background damage going up. There we go, almost 1,000 damage in the background. I also didn't realize we were fighting a boss, so I've turned on my power fisting ability, so we're hitting him for 3,000 damage currently. We have 30 seconds to take him down. I don't think we're going to accomplish this, but this is what I get for not paying attention. We saved up almost $2 million, so let's get some more cursor touch damage. This should add quite a bit off the top. And we still have 100 grand left over, so let's get our background damage up a little bit as well. So now we're hitting for a flat 3,000 without the fisting. That means I think we're ready for the boss, so we're going to upgrade the fisting. That gives us 6,000 damage every time we touch this little rascal. Which seems like more than enough damage. He's down to half HP. We've got 36 seconds left. He's going to be defeated with plenty of time to spare, hopefully for a giant payout or just more bats. One thing I didn't really realize though is that we can actually have augments on some of these. Like this is $600,000 and that's going to give me a lot of extra damage. They are going to get expensive, but this gets damage per second by 15% on whatever this one is, which isn't a ton of damage, but we can add it up a little bit. And since this one has a 15% augment on it, let's buy 10 of these at a time. So now we're doing almost 5,000 damage, and that's with a basic upgrade. Why am I trying to kill a boss already? Alright, we're going to kill the boss. You know why? Because I wasn't on automatic zone change anymore. Enemies have 120,000 HP, we do 5,000 damage. We get so much money every time we kill one of these things. We're back up to $2.3 million already. So let's see if we can turn our background damage per second way up by buying this. Yeah, that's dealing 3,200 damage just in the background. So between the background and me touching, those things are getting melted. And since we got a flying treasure chest that gave us almost $5 million, we're going to keep going with that. That gave us a hardy boost up to 7,500 damage per touch. We're going to buy boots for some reason for $4.6 million, though it doesn't add a lot of damage by itself. We should really be sticking to the base. We can also get our basic level whatever up to 40% extra damage. and also our level 2 one up to its second augmentative thing. And since we have $56 million to spend, we're going to buy 25 of these at a time because that's going to give us some real clicking damage. Long story short, those extra upgrades gave us 17,000 damage, which is enough to chew through 600,000 enemy HP fairly quickly. But if I upgrade the beanie, 5 levels at a time, that's also adding a ton of damage, 20,000. At this point, I think it's worth upgrading the bones for 170 million, so we're just going to spend all of that money, seeing exactly how much our background damage can go up. I really should have set all these to max buy to save myself having to click that many times. 19 times $118 million gets us 15,000 damage per second, just sort of in the background. That actually makes a huge difference. Like, you can just watch their health ticking away right now. If you combine it with my cursor, they get mega melted. Now, if we spend $170 million to augment that, that puts us up to 15,000 damage per second on them. And you know what? Let's spend $61 million upgrading our beanie 21 times. That's going to take it from 8.8 thousand. That actually doubled its damage. So now we're doing almost 30,000 per touch. Despite our incredible damage, they do have 1.2 million HP. That's a lot of zeros, so it takes a hot minute to chew through them. Lucky for us, it's very easy to give ourselves a good gold injection every once in a while. So our beanie is going to get augmentation level 2. That's going to give it a lot of damage. We could level it up 16 more times if we wanted to, so we're going to. That gave us 28,000 damage per second by itself, 40,000 per touch. A lot of DPS overall. These things have 1.2 million HP and they're melting. I feel like we can make the numbers pretty big. Oh, finally some different scenery, a cemetery. It's all the creatures we've killed in past lives. I think it's time we move on to the Golden Book. We can't afford its augment, but we can afford $560 million worth of upgrades. Ghosts are real? Now you've entirely lost me. This game isn't realistic at all. 53,000 damage does not feel like much when I have 3 million HP. We still need more. Luckily, we've got $2.3 billion at our disposal. So our Golden Book is going to get upgraded for $2.3 billion. That's going to put it up to 33,000 damage per touch, which stacks with all the other ones, 72,000 damage. We're getting close to 100. But we still don't have time to wait. I'm a very busy person. I can't touch things this many times. Next, we need to pick carefully what we want to upgrade. I think we're going to do the beanie. We're going to get 33 times. It currently does 30,000 damage. Now it does 66,000 damage. We doubled its damage. We're also going to upgrade the initial Berserker's Amulet. That's only going to be 15 times, but that gave us an extra 5,000 per second. I just had to know. Now we're doing well over 100,000 per touch. So now we only have to touch them like 25 times before they die. Never mind, they jumped up to 6 million HP, so it's more like 55 times for them to die. They are giving us like $9 million every time we kill them though. 7 million, but that's still plenty. For the next $2.2 billion, we're going to augment our anchor to level 3. That's going to give 40% bonus to its damage per second. And we're going to spend the $2 billion on that, so it's going up to 80,000 damage per second in the background. And that's going to stack with whatever else we have for probably some pretty big numbers. Since we have $200 million just sort of laying around, let's work our way down some of the upgrades to see exactly what's next. The Golden Book can only be upgraded 10 times for $2.5 billion. We're still going to do it because, well, that only added 10,000 damage per second. So, who do I talk to about a refund? Because that was not at all worth my time. Not that I'm working particularly hard, but these are starting to take a little bit of time to kill. 13 million HP is a lot. So working your way down doesn't really seem to be that worth it until we have the big money. Because something like this is 100 damage per second, but if we upgrade it, it basically doubles. It'll add 100 damage for 5.5 million. So 46 times should be 4,600 damage, times 3 for some reason, 12,000 damage per second. So that's interesting. 44 bone upgrades is worth $2.7 billion, but that'll take us from about 17 to 60,000 damage per second. That one was worth it. So while we're at it, we'll also give it a 30% boost. Now these idiots are just kind of evaporating in the background, and I don't really that actively have to touch them anymore. We need more zeros and much bigger numbers. So I've got $10 billion. We're going to spend it all on boots. It's only going to get 31 levels, but that's sort of worth it for 35,000 damage. Plus all these damages are stacking up. I don't know what our damage per second is in the background, but it's got to be getting pretty high considering they're dropping their health very quickly. It looks to be about 200,000 per second, so we need more. I think we're better off spending our next $10 billion on bones to take it from 125, 23 levels up, which gives us 117,000 damage per second, a total of 240,000 damage per second. Every one of these we kill also gives us about $15 million. And the numbers get ever bigger. We can actually give our anchor a 40% increase here for $3 billion. And then spend the remaining $7 billion upgrading its damage, 200,000 damage or 350,000 damage per second. And that's without me rapid fire touching them, probably getting closer to 1 million damage per second. We're going back to our beanie. There's another augmentation that'll put up to 40%, and then the remaining 9 billion go to that. 150,000 damage per cursor touch. Didn't mean to go back to the cursor touch, but that's okay. I guess upgrading our most basic of cursors all the way to the end probably isn't the worst idea in the world, because that's dealing 45,000 damage actually. So if we get an extra 64 times, 250,000 damage per touch. I should have done that ages ago. We're definitely dealing over a million DPS per individual at this point. I wonder what other kind of stupid things I've been overlooking so far. So I should probably work on getting his anchor upgraded. That upgrade's going to cost $50 billion, but I can get another 19 levels and that's going to add 360,000 damage per second. But the more I upgrade, the more they seem to upgrade. We're tearing through them fast enough that it's getting slower and slower. I painstakingly saved up the $54 billion I need, so we're going to go ahead and augment this for 50 billion. That's going to add, it's almost a million damage per second all by itself, but we can still click it a few more times. So our passive damage is 1 million per second. Our touch damage is 500,000 per touch, so between the two of them, it's a lot. I was trying to figure out what the prestige button did, but apparently when you click it, it just throws you into prestige, so now we have 65% damage increase. Which definitely wasn't worth the trade-off. I would not have prestige for only 65,000. So we're going to let this one run for the next 10 years before we come back to it, because his progress is getting slow.